Last evening, I met an entitled woman I just couldn't believe was serious. I was out with my fiancé and wore a dress with foxes on it and a matching bag with a fox head. We were taking a walk through a shopping center after eating because I wanted to go to one of the jewelry stores who had a great Black Friday offer. Note, I'm from Germany here. Some companies make Black Friday offers, but it's not as crazy as in the US and no one is assaulting anyone over them. Since it was hot in the center, I wore my coat open so that one could see my dress. As I walk out of the jewelry store, a woman with a, presumably, teenage daughter stops me to ask where I got that dress and bag from. I happily answer that they are from, store name, a UK-based company purchased before the Brexit, and if she wanted them, she should have a look at a specific German website who are currently offering the rest of their UK-based stuff at good prices, but won't restock due to tax issues. The daughter pulls a face I usually associate with cranky toddlers. The mother sees this and tells me she'll accompany me to the cheap quality store from Ireland next door so I can buy another dress and handbag and give her mine, because it's her daughter's birthday and I should gift it to her. I laugh and tell my fiancé that we should go. She grabs my arm and shouts, "Give me the bag!" Which? Loud enough to attract attention. A security guard comes and asks what's happening, and she has the nerve to accuse me of stealing the bag from her. As the bag matches my outfit, but definitely not hers, the guard laughs at her and gets in her face, standing between us to let us leave. It's just so bizarre. I mean, apart from the sheer audacity, that dress and the handbag cost me about €100 easily. Why would I gift that to a stranger? This happened years ago when my mom's catering business was still doing pretty well. It's turned into more of a food delivery business since the pandemic struck. So anyways, a client requests my mom to cater for her wedding with a chocolate fondue and all that good stuff. So her employees go first, and when my mom and dad arrive at some ungodly hour of the morning, around 3 a.m. or something like that, she's surprised when she sees that little work has been done. The reason behind that is not employee incompetence, but the lights. They were out, and the client didn't mention that. My mom tried to open the lights, but even if she flicked the switch on, nothing. So they got a bit of work done, but not a lot. So they waited for daybreak before they started with the rest. They started, but my mom noticed something in the backyard they were going to put the food in. There were flies everywhere, but not just regular flies to make matters worse. They were twice the size, to the point they have a term in my language, Bengal. Not sure if it means big or adult flies, but I think it's the latter. So they had to adjust and put the food in a small tent, away from the giant flies, because anywhere near them, it's sure as hell gonna mean a health code violation. And even worse, the visitors came early and started playing with the napkins and other utensils on the table, which made my mom's job even harder. The bride obviously had complaints, but my mom explained the situation and the fact that the lights weren't even on and those giant flies on their own venue, their literal property. The bride obviously wasn't the problem, so I introduce you to her father, who we will call the entitled lawyer dad. So the entitled lawyer dad starts shouting about how my mom ruined the wedding and that he is a lawyer, so he will definitely sue her. My mom says this, "Sir, with all due respect, I know you are a lawyer, and I know the law, and I know my rights. If you want to, we can check the CCTV footage. I know I am in the right. Do you think you're above the law?" She then explained to him that her employees stayed up all night to finish what they could in a condition with no lighting. He continued to shout at my mom while my dad tried to drag her away to keep space between them. There was CCTV footage already for evidence, so the lawyer jerk just had to shut up and do nothing. My God, the audacity of some people. Okay, so today I had an eye test and had to get new glasses, which I was expecting. This happened while I was choosing a pair to get next week once they're properly made. I have Tourette's syndrome. That's the main important thing for you to know about this. I'm gonna call this woman Karen and her kid the brats for the sake of this story. Me and my mom are going around looking for glasses. Due to COVID, we had to put the glasses I decided not to choose in a white tub to be sanitized after. I get a tick and shout that I'm gonna take the glasses for free. The little brat, "Mummy, can I have free glasses too?" Karen, "No, darling. This lovely girl over here thinks that she's allowed special treatment." My mom, "Excuse me, my kid has Tourette's. There is no special treatment." Right, she has Tourette's. Do you genuinely think that's a real thing? Yes, it is, but Tourette's isn't a thing. It's an excuse to get free things that you don't deserve. My mom just ignores her. Me, "I think I want these glasses." Karen, "My kid would look better in those." My mom, "Okay, I'm gonna need you to leave us alone." No, my son would like those glasses. He's more deserving than your disabled daughter. Ma'am, leave us alone. You're insane and we have done nothing to you. What? How dare you insult me? My son would look better in the glasses and you don't need them anyway. Your potato kid can pick some different ones. A worker there said, "We are gonna need you to leave, ma'am." Why? This woman stole the glasses off me when my son deserves them more than that thing. Did she just call me that thing? Wow. Okay, after some back and forth, they call the police who escort her out after she refuses and tries to attack the workers for not giving her son my glasses. They sanitized the glasses and fitted them onto my face once the lady left. Whatever the cops decided to do with this crazy lady. I just hope I never get to see her again. This happened a few years ago, when I was in my second year of high school. I was in a small friend group with a very specific type of humor which a majority of people that age wouldn't get, and we knew this kid. I will call entitled kid. That kid was a person who didn't have many friends, mainly because he was an entitled gremlin who is known for grabbing people's belongings straight from their hands. One day at lunch, we were approached by the entitled kid who just sat down and started talking to us. At first, we didn't care and just talked to him, but one day he took one of my friend's phones and scratched him when he took it back. After that, we stopped talking to the entitled kid, not just because of the incident, but also because he had a really different kind of humor than us. Everything was fine, and we hadn't seen the kid for a few days until one day when I was walking home from school, a woman covered in makeup drove up to me in her car and rolled down her window. This is the conversation we had. Entitled, "Mother, hello, are you donut?" Me, yes, who are you? I am the entitled kid's mom, and he has been telling me you have been bullying him. I didn't bully him. I barely know him. My kid and you were great friends before you were mean to him, and now he is upset. What are you talking about? I have talked to your kid a few times, but we're not really friends, and we weren't mean to him. He stole my friend's phone, then scratched him. My baby has never done anything wrong, so become friends with him again, or I will get your parents and the school involved. At this point, I had enough with this woman. Yeah, okay. I then walked away through a path where cars couldn't go and went home. Update. A few days have passed since my run-in with the entitled mother, and you thought she had forgotten or just didn't care about it anymore. I was very mistaken. As I was walking home from school, I saw her sitting on a bench which is on the path I take to get home, and I decided to go an alternate route because I didn't want to deal with her nonsense again. The next day, the same thing happened, and I thought maybe it was just a normal thing for her to go out on that bench, so I walked by and as I did, she screamed at me. Donut, me, what the hell? Why are you screaming at me? My kid told me you haven't apologized to him yet. Yeah, I haven't, because there is nothing to apologize about. Just leave me alone. I proceeded to very hastily walk away, but to my horror, she was following me. She wasn't running after me or shouting at me, just following from a small distance. At this point, I was getting really creeped out by this 40-year-old woman silently following me down the street. I started running and made it to my house. I didn't even look to check if she was still on my tail. I just closed my door and went inside. I decided to tell my parents about this, and they were pissed. They told me if she ever tried to approach me again, call them. The very next day on the weekend, there was a knock on my door, and to my surprise, the police were there. Apparently, someone called in and reported that someone in this house harassed the caller's son. I instantly knew who the caller was, so we explained the situation to the police and didn't hear anything for 2 weeks before we got a call informing us of what happened. It turns out that the entitled mother was a known junkie. She was arrested for possession of drugs and drunk driving multiple times. The entitled kid was living with his dad, and the entitled mother could only see him on weekends. She was arrested for harassment of another student and resisting arrest. A few days later, the dad of the entitled kid came by my house and apologized for his former wife's actions. He was really nice, and one of my dad's old workmates. We never saw the entitled mother again, and the entitled kid stopped bothering us. Some backstory. When my brother was 8, he had a head injury, which nearly killed him, resulting in several surgeries, leaving him with several plates on his skull. It took him years to completely recover from this incident, and ever since then, he has been completely unable to do anything wrong in my parents' eyes. For example, when I was 16, I backed into a concrete bollard and did a good amount of damage to the family minivan. I had to pay the deductible for the insurance and had to pay for my own insurance from that time onward, which I thought was totally fair. My brother totaled that same van 3 years later, rear-ending someone at an intersection, and my parents made him pay nothing because his girlfriend had just broken up with him and he was already going through so much. Stuff like that. About a year after I graduated from college, I checked myself into an outpatient rehab program for my weed addiction. It had gotten to the point where I was high for every waking moment I was not at work, and it was completely controlling my life. My parents are honestly amazing in almost every way, but there are a few places where they are severely lacking, and one of the biggest is mental health. My parents do not accept that things like addiction are an actual disorder, and rather think that it is purely a weakness in one's character. My mother also refused to accept that I have ADHD, and it was not until I was in college that I actually started treating it. This is all the stranger because my mother's entire career has been in the medical field. She is now the CEO of a local hospital chain, so there really is no excuse for her not understanding this. Well, they have always held me seeking out treatment against me, but I usually do not let it get to me. My brother has been pulled over twice while driving drunk. Both times he was able to get off on some lesser charge. Yeah, good lawyers. So last year my dad won a basket of top-shelf alcohol from a charity auction, and for my parents' anniversary in August, he popped open a bottle of 30-year Macallan. I love scotch, so I was really excited to give it a try. He poured out glasses for my brother, mom, and himself. I went to go grab my own glass thinking that he just did not have hands for it all. When I go to grab the bottle, he pulls it away and says, "Do you really think that is a good idea with your addiction?" heavily emphasizing the word. I tell him that while I do limit my alcohol consumption, I still have a glass from time to time. We argue about it for a minute, with my mom taking my dad's side when I finally get frustrated and say, "Are you kidding me?" I point at my brother and say, "He has 2 DUIs and you have no problem giving him a glass, yet you are saying I am the one with a problem here?" This was met with he didn't even know he was still drunk, he couldn't even feel it anymore, and the charges were dropped, the nonsense excuses that he gave them and that they spouted off whenever it was brought up. I know that I am being a bit entitled here, as well as my dad should get to choose who drinks his alcohol, but the double standards that my parents employ for my brother and myself just really gets to me.